Test, test, we got sound, can y'all hear me? Okay? We got a cameraman on the way. Look at it, still got 20 seconds to start.
Oh, doing fire efficiency there.
Yeah. Okay, good evening. I would like to, at this time, call to order the regular business meeting of the Stephenville City Council here on Tuesday, March the 5th. And with that, open up the floor for any citizens' general discussion. If there's anyone that would like to come forward and make any statements at this time.
I'm Freddie Goebel. I live over on 413 Bluebonnet. What I'm here to speak about is zoning, mainly. It boils down to restaurants and alcohol. Alcohol, I guess, would actually be the big part of it. Of course, as citizens, we've all voted in alcohol. Well, when people come down here to get zoned in for a restaurant, they say, well, we've got to have a little bit of alcohol too. Said we got to have it before people want to come in and eat. In not most places, a lot of places, they have restrictions on it, 30% to 40% or 70 to 30%, something like this here. So you have a certain amount of food and not all just alcohol. But they say they can't do that. They got to have alcohol to get people in there. But there's so many places, Brahms and Golden Corral, Chicken Expresses, places like this. I don't know if them ever have an alcohol, but they always have business. I've tried to get a hold of several places. There's about 3 or 4 in this town here now that seems to be going strictly alcohol. Well, I've got a hold of an individual on the city. They said, well, that is because that they have private clubs as the way they're zoned. Well, I got a hold of TABC. They say there's 3 or 4 different kinds of licenses they can put out, which makes them private clubs. They can have just alcohol. I thought that what we was trying to do was have a limit and have some control over this in the town. But we neglected to go a little bit deeper and not have just plain old taverns in here, because I thought we was going to all have food with it, but evidently not. And then with that, come up with another problem. The city is having to supply for parking for some of them, which I don't believe that was quite what we wanted to be voted in. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, they said that nobody's able to tell me in this town how much money is brought into our coffers through alcohol taxes. Don't seem like anybody's got control of this. TABC, they're not going to do anything about it unless somebody comes in here and requests an audit, like somebody in the city somewhere. Which all this breaks on down to where Chief Bridges is having a little bit more trouble with trying to get all his stuff done with all this added deal on here. And then we got with the zoning, it comes down to beautification. We tried to get the city a little bit prettier as we went along. But now with this alcohol out here and him not having enough people to take care of it, there's couches sitting out in the front lawns and on the driveways and barbecue ovens and beer kegs and things like this here. I appreciate all your help to help us on these situations for our city. Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much for your time. Any other? Okay, if not, this evening we have a very important and special presentation, and I'll like to call Chief Jimmy Chu forward at this time to start this off.
Thank you, Mayor. It's not very often that we get a opportunity to honor a citizen that has stepped up like this, and with your permission, I'd like to call on Battalion Chief Charles Elliott to make this presentation. He has an involvement with some of the people involved, and if you'll indulge me, I'll let
All
Chief
right.
Elliott come
That
up.
sounds great. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. I am here because I do have an involvement with several people in the award we're about to present. We're going to present an American Heart Association Heart Saver Hero Award. And we're also going to present a Stephenville Fire Department Certificate of Appreciation. And that's why I'm here, because I know many of these people that are involved, and I myself did not have any direct involvement in it. First person I want to introduce is not here. Her name is Mary. We're just going to call her Mary, and out of kindness, we're going to say Mary is over 60 years old. Mary's a character, and she'll appreciate that. I've known Mary for over 25 years. She's been to my house, been involved in several social activities with Mary also. She is a character, which some of you people that know her from Rock House will definitely testify to. The second person that I want to introduce you to is Katie Carr. Katie Carr is one of our rescuers. I've known Katie for, come on up, Katie. I've known Katie for a long time, probably most of her life. Her family, my family, these children we raised them as kids, and all through school activities, she was very involved in that, along with my daughter. And her parents, Bon and Bradley Carr, are also extremely involved in the community and raising these children also. They sponsored events, helped with everything they could, did everything that they could to help with the children of the community and raise them to be great people. Grandparents, Carol Lee, Judy Lee. You may remember Carol Lee was one of our past Stephenville Volunteer Fire Department chiefs. I actually worked under him for a while. It's when I was a volunteer, which was great. Katie has an aunt that also is a nurse in the hospital. She's actually taking care of me. Another connection. And Katie works at the company of Rock House. Well, it just so happens we have the CEO of Rock House here, Mr. Doug Savine, on our council. Another connection. My wife, Deborah Elliott, has been an RN for Rock House for over 31 years. It's all coming around full circle here. The fire department crew that was on duty, I'm going to ask them to come up. The lead medic on the call that day was paramedic Trey Lee. Trey, you come up and say hi here. His partner Scott Brinkley can't be here. He has a sick child, or he would be here, I promise you. Captain and paramedic Jerry Powers, his involvement in this incident was to provide direction and support on this call. The backup crew, very important. Paramedic Lieutenant Mickey Blue, and his partner for that day, Daniel Dow. He's also a paramedic. And tragically, in recent news, a case of a nurse in the facility of Bakersfield, California, that refused to do CPR or hand the phone to anybody that could possibly do CPR, even at the begging of the dispatcher. That produced some tragic results. I can't see that happening here. That's not the case here. On the evening of January 28, 2013, Mary and Katie and other clients were on a shopping trip to a local store. Mary, while reaching for bananas, went limp. Katie recognized Mary was in cardiac arrest from the training she had received. One of my definitions of being a hero is when your training meets your opportunity. So I asked Katie, I said, what'd you think, Katie? She said, it was all automatic. I didn't have to think. She just reacted from the training she had. Katie's undergone CPR training through Tarleton State University and also through Rock House training. Katie activated the 911 system by sending for help. She then started CPR. She was soon joined by a bystander, and the bystander assisted. This individual was still at large. They came in, they joined in the effort, and they disappeared soon after paramedic crews took over with the resuscitation events. All that we think we know is she is a kinesiology graduate that graduated last December. We're still looking for this person. The first in paramedic crews arrived on the scene 2 minutes and 18 seconds after they were notified. They were assisted by backup crews, and it was quickly determined that STEMI protocols needed to be activated. STEMI protocols are ST elevation, myocardial infarction. That is a heart attack. We can determine that from the equipment that we carry on our mobile intensive care unit, and that was determined. Those protocols were activated. Mary was transported to Stephenville Hospital. Then she was transported to a heart catheter lab in the Metroplex via air ambulance, where she was diagnosed with a widowmaker. This term is used because if the artery that supplies blood to the heart gets abruptly and completely occluded, it will cause a massive heart attack, and that will likely lead to sudden death. This condition in Mary's case was corrected with stents. Mary has returned to her residence where she's done well. A study from the University of Michigan suggests the chance of surviving an out-of-hospital witnessed heart attack. That's where we saw him, person saw him go down. Surviving that long enough to be discharged from the hospital is 7.6%. That's pretty much against some odds there. At this time, lead paramedic Trey Lee will present Katie with the Stephenville Fire Department Certificate of Appreciation Award. He's going to hand that to her. Trey is the one that initiated this event. His statement to me was, "This is a valid event. The actions of this young lady and the unknown bystander saved this woman's life. Her heart wasn't beating, she was not breathing. They did very effective CPR." Now I would like to ask Mayor Weldon to come present the American Heart Association Heart Saver Hero Award. Katie, thank you for all that you did that day. And it's my privilege to present this to you. Heart Saver Hero Award presented to Katie Carr in recognition of advancing the mission of the American Heart Association in emergency cardiovascular care through a courageous act in an effort to save a life. And let me give that to you and just say thank you. And you are a hero. Earning this award reflects your willingness to go above and beyond. You talked about opportunity and preparation. There was no luck involved in this. There was an opportunity, but you saw fit to do the right thing. That's a reflection not only of the training you received, but let me thank your parents for their involvement, for helping shape you as a person that says, "Hey, I'm going to do the right thing when it's presented." And I know these professionals are standing beside you today because they do this for a living and appreciate the significance of you stepping forward just as a private citizen to do that for somebody else. And so thank you. If you're a tremendous example for others, everybody in this room, let's give her a one other word, Stephenville Fire Department does offer limited number CPR opportunities for a very small fee, $5 to cover the cost of supplies. An appointment can be made through our training officer, Stephen LePalo over here. We have his phone number available if you need that. Just call him and he'll teach you CPR. And that's his
Just wait a minute for some of the family and friends to clear the room. Really appreciate y'all coming out tonight. Okay? Okay, the next item on the agenda is a proclamation designating March as American Red Cross Month. And let me just briefly read this in summary. Whereas March is American Red Cross Month, a special time in recognition of our heroes, those who volunteer, donate blood, take life-saving courses, or provide financial donations to support an organization whose mission is to help those in need. And whereas in the Chisholm Trail chapter, the Red Cross works tirelessly through its 40 employees and 771 volunteers to help when disaster strikes, when someone needs life-saving blood or the comfort of a helping hand. It provides 24-hour support to the members of the military, veterans, and their families, and provides training in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. And whereas our community depends on the American Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, and blood to fulfill the humanitarian mission, despite these challenging economic times, the American Red Cross continues to offer help and comfort to those in need. Now I therefore, Kenny Weldon, Mayor of the City of Stephenville, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of the City of Stephenville and State of Texas, do hereby proclaim March 2013 as American Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. Now, I think it's only fitting to have a recognition of Katie tonight and this proclamation for the American Red Cross, and just would encourage everyone to support that how they see fit. Next item on the agenda is the Stephenville Historical Museum Annual Report and Presentation of the Budget. So, Ms. Robin Ritchie.
Honorable Mayor and distinguished city council members, city staff, and citizens of Stephenville, I'm very honored to make my annual visit to y'all as the president of the Board of Directors of the Stephenville Historical House Museum. I provided you with a little bit of demographics and my budget in your packet, I think, and I think it's so self-explanatory I didn't even prepare anything to say. What I want you to know and realize is that we're growing. It's been apparent for a few years that we're growing, but this last year we've really made some strides in some new happenings at the museum, and our budget has shown that. If you look at our donations, we were over $6,000 more on donations this year than we've ever been. Of course, we found places to spend that money very fast. Our rentals were up a little bit, and if you look on the breakdown of the rentals, I think we had almost 40, over 30, my brain remembers right, rentals this year. That's how we keep our doors open. I'll take this opportunity to also thank you for the percentage that we get of the hotel motel tax. Everyone knows, the 16 members of our board and everyone that's up close and personal with the museum knows that we would not be a museum if it was not for the city's help. And we appreciate that very much. We appreciate the fact that you entrust us with these funds to preserve our history and to promote the museum and to make the changes that we're making, hopefully to better the museum, but also to better the tourism and everything that goes on in Stephenville. For the first time in several years, I stand up here with great pride in thinking that we are one of the draws to Stephenville. We're just not a time passerby anymore for people that are already here. We have actually have conversation with people that have driven from Oklahoma, from the Metroplex, from other places down south, and all that come to Stephenville to be at our museum and to take part in things that happen at the museum. We also have ongoing inventory, extensive hands-on inventory that's been going on for almost 2 years, that's hopefully over half done. 3 members, more than 3, but 3 specific members of my board have formed a committee that are going through. We are organizing our archives. We are organizing our exhibits. We're taking an extensive inventory of things that we have, things that maybe have been on exhibit for too long and are starting to show some wear and tear for being out in the elements and all. We are putting in preservation type packets and getting them in a more safe environment. One of the main and most exciting things that we have going on right now is that we are redoing the carriage house. And for any of you that may not be familiar with the carriage house, it is our only reproduction of an old-timey home or an old-timey structure. And so we felt like we could go in that structure and remodel and make something that is going to be a draw to the museum, which is going to be a rotating exhibit room. And it's been the front room all this time. It's been sort of a domestic exhibit place for the clothes and the stoves and things like that. But it is actually going to be a rotating exhibit hall with state-of-the-art lighting, and we are going to have different times of the year of different promotions that we have to have a continual draw to the museum to keep the interest. People that have been in the museum in the 1970s can still go see the same exhibits they saw in the 1970s. That's not going to be the case anymore. It's going to be rotated out to where you can have a new experience every time you come to our museum. We're excited about this. We're almost through with the remodel. The restroom is going to be updated where it's more of a experience than a have-to situation of not knowing for sure what you were going into. Our contract, yeah, it was terrible. And you ought to try to do it in a hoop skirt. So we are very proud of the housing that it's going to be for our visitors to go in that room alone, not counting any of the other experience of the log cabins, the chapel, the school, all that is the structure alone is an exhibit. But this is actually going to promote our plans for our first rotating exhibit is the medical history of Erath County. We have a committee chairman that is Glenda Stone, who y'all know is from Tarleton's Library, who is working on doing all the research for the doctors that come from this area of the 1800s and on. And she told me the other day, it's just amazing the material I'm finding, and I'm not even to the Terrells yet. So she's excited about that. But we have things going on that we want to encourage y'all to come out and see what's going on and all. But back to our rentals. We had equivalent of 32 rentals, and then we had 23 that we call gratis or not for our nonprofit community service organizations around town. We offer one annual free rental of our facility for installation of officers, anything that they see fit that they would want a special place to have it and all. They contact us and have that one free gratis time, and it gets good PR in that these people, and usually they're ladies, but sometimes they're not, come in and have the museum experience with their special day, and then they come back. So we feel very honored to be able to do that for our service organizations. Another thing in here is you can see how many visitors we had this year. It breaks down to where we feel like we had over 5,000 visitors, and that's actually people that were counted. That does not count the people that we were not able to count, that either didn't sign our register or that our staff did not see and mark down. Photo opportunities at the museum is one of our most growing invitations to the museum. We have quite a few professional photographers in our area, and they have chosen to use the museum as a backdrop, and they come by the carloads to have their pictures taken at the museum grounds. We're proud of that. That shows that the Erath County Master Gardeners and our own in-house biologists that we have on our board, and hobby type gardeners are taking care of the grounds, plus the city coming in and mowing and keeping the grounds up. So a constant maintenance of our grounds keep people wanting to come in. Other than that, I think all the handouts that were given to you are pretty self-explanatory about where our donations come from and where our monies go. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Any questions for Robbie?
I guess it's a real simple question, because I can simple mine. It looks like we had a $21,000 net at the end of the year. Am I reading this correctly? $57,900 in total income. Actual 2012, we spent $37,200. If I'm reading this correctly, it looks like we had a $20,678 positive cash flow. Is that correct?
Let me get to that page.
Okay.
The $57,978.19 is actual monies that went through our accountant. The $16,478 is our actual. That's how much we made over. So yes, and that is monies that we have going into like the renovation of the carriage house that was not on the budget.
So on page 2 of that, of your, I guess it's page 2, it has total expenses, 2012 actual was $37,299. So that'd be you have a positive cash flow of $20,678, but it looks like you have a balance on hand of cash or is that just for the Oxford House of $12,700?
The $12,748 is just the Oxford House designated monies that is designated for just the Oxford House.
Which is out of that $21,000 then?
Yes.
Okay. So you all have a positive end-of-year cash flow, not dedicated to the Oxford House of about, it looks like about $8,000 then?
About that, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Scott?
First of all, Robin, let me thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I also want to say, we're sorry about the loss of your dad. He was a great guy and was very instrumental in the safety of a whole lot of kids for a whole lot of years. You should be proud of him. I believe you
Thank
are.
you.
And I want to ask you about this Oxford House balance as well.
Okay.
How much money do you still need to get the Oxford House kind of where you want it?
Where we want it?
Yeah. I know it's a big number. And it seemed to me like
and
you talked
Diane-
about phases.
Yes.
It may be pretty
Diane
soon.
Wilson is the committee chairman on that, and she has that timeline, is working on that timeline because of grants and things. Unable to be here tonight, she's out of town with grandchildren. But just from conversation in committee and us keeping that on our forefront, and it really is. You can't see a whole lot that goes on with the Oxford House because there's not drastic things going on, but there's little things all the time happening at the Oxford House. To get it where we feel like we could probably obtain, to get it where it's pretty to drive by, and that's our first step, is to get it where it's an asset.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to have anything coming in for it anymore to keep it, because we can work on the inside from now till doomsday, redoing and doing and preserving. But to get it to where it's really an asset to our property, I would say probably at least $50,000 to $100,000. I say that in the fact of to get a professional paint job for the outside of the house is going to be about $50,000 to do that. If we can get professionals to donate paint and their expertise in painting a house that big, because it's second, third story tall, you know, a Saturday afternoon low Hobby Lobby painters are not going to be able to do it. We will have to have help in painting it. So it's going to cost money to do that, you know, to rent the equipment, to go to the third story to get it and that kind of stuff. So a paint job, $50,000-$60,000 probably. And then landscaping to get it to where it's not an eyesore landscaping wise. I would say probably will be the rest of that $100,000. Little at a time and people donating, we know we can do it. We feel like we're further down the road than we could have been if we had not have been able to put a roof on it. You know, that's a $50,000 roof that's on it, which we did from donations in less than 2 years, you know. So even though it feels like it's snail's pace for what it is with a museum of a $50,000 annual budget, to make those kind of strides above and beyond maintaining the museum, and that was our promise to ourselves, not only the promise to the city, is it the rest of the museum was not going to suffer because of saving the Oxford House, and it has not. Could we have used that $112,000 we raised to move on things in the museum? Sure we could have, but we wouldn't have had it because people give us little bits for the museum where they were giving us a lot for to save the Oxford House. Two different apples and oranges, as far as money-wise, apples and oranges.
Well, I remember when you and your board came up here to ask us about that deal, and you said 2 years ago, I guess it seems like it was a couple of months ago. It doesn't seem that long, but you know, you were trying to do that in a really a poor economy, and I think a lot of us up here were, I know for me, I was skeptical about your ability to raise that much money, but we said, you know, let's give them a chance to do it. But y'all ought to be real proud of what
Thank
you've done. You know, there was a lot of skeptical people, and I was one of them, about your ability to raise that much money. But
Well, thank you.
congratulations.
I appreciate that, sir,
Yeah,
and we
thanks
will
again.
continue to make you proud.
Good. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, yep. Go ahead.
Robin, it's good to see you again.
Thank you, Russ.
This 10-page report is probably the most thorough of any of the reports that I see annually from any organization. That takes a lot of hard work, and I really want to thank you and the Board of Directors for your hard work and everything that you do for the tourism of Stephenville and Erath County. I know it's a lot of work without much recognition, but please extend to the Board of Directors and your volunteers how much we appreciate what they do.
Thank you, sir.
And I too have been watching the Oxford House, and I'm excited about the progress in it. And if you have this summer a fundraiser that includes a dunking booth, I can probably talk Alan Nix and Scott Evans to sitting in there with me.
We have a meeting Tuesday. I will bring that to the board.
Okay, thank you.
That's really
Pass the
sort
ball,
of thing
son.
reserved for mayors. Mayors should do that sort of thing.
I know what paybacks sound like.
He'll be wanting to be reelected next year.
Okay, any other comments?
Mayor, I move that we accept Robin's report for the Historical Museum.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Nix, seconded by Mr. Evans to accept the annual report and presentation of the budget. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, Robin, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to take this opportunity, if I might, to extend out an invitation to everyone for our annual plant fair in April, our Heirloom and Native Plant Fair, April the 13th. Is that the second Saturday in April? I go from calendar, I don't go from date. Second Saturday in April, April 13th will be the plant fair. I believe it starts at 9 to 3, and it's on the museum grounds. Russell Fowl, Dr. Fowl from Tarleton is our chairman on that, and so if any of you have any questions or know of vendors, plant growers, any that would be interested, that they can contact him. And then also our summer camp for our kids, we have a limited of 25 spaces for that. It's $50 per camper, grades 2 through 5. And the applications are at the office if you're interested to have children or grandchildren interested in doing Camp Pioneer. I think it's a great opportunity, and I think I've heard from Little Birdie, our chairman this year, that we're going to be doing Civil War reenactments at it this year. I think it would be great, and this is just my own little plug, that we'd have the North, and we always have 3 groups. And if we have the North and the South and the Carpetbaggers as our groups of kids, I think it would be very exciting to.
We can put the carpetbaggers in the middle and see
Yes,
who wins.
exactly.
Okay.
But thank y'all so much for your time, and we do appreciate y'all being here for us, and never want to feel like the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah, and Robin, I haven't said anything yet because I was waiting, but I want to echo what the council has already said and congratulate you on your effort and the board's effort. What you're doing is so vital to this community. The museum is downtown. It's a part of the reflection of this community to others, but I think more importantly to ourselves. And it's a reminder of our heritage. And I want to applaud you for efforts like the Camp Pioneer. I was down there, saw those young kids learning about their community, and that is so important. And so thank you, and just look forward to an exciting year ahead.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is to consider approval of an airport layout plan, and I'll turn it over to Mark Kaiser to go over this for us, please, Mark.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Wells to come up and give that report. It looks like he's trying to show something on the screen, so I'll let
Okay.
him
I was gonna
play with the
do
computer
a little
bit
delay
first
tactic
here.
while he
Yeah.
played with
There-
the computer there.
We had contracted with the Texas Department of Transportation Aviation Division a couple of years ago to embark upon this, and this is a requirement for our runway extension project. And with that said, it looks like he's ready. He's just trying to get to the right screen, so I'm going to go ahead and let him, Mr. Wells, take over from here, so.
Like he's just goofing around and
That makes it worse. Thank you, Mayor and Council. In your packet tonight, what we have is our, for your consideration, the approval of our airport layout plan. Once this document is approved by you and by TxDOT Aviation and the FAA, it becomes our official planning document for the development of our airport. This, the 4 pages that you have in your packet, this represents all the facilities and the features currently at the airport, and then the future development plans that we have in mind to ultimately develop the airport. As it's indicated in your general notes on the page, when we approve this, and the TxDOT Aviation, the FAA approve it, it doesn't obligate those agencies to fund these improvements. However, we have to have these indicated on our ALP in order to receive federal funding for the improvements. And if you'll notice, one of the pending improvements, the runway extension, is depicted on the ALP with a 250-foot extension to the north on the 14 end of the runway, and then the remaining 550 feet on the south. But this document and what we're doing tonight, this is basically laying the groundwork for us to initiate that runway extension project that we've been pre-approved for funding, and to that end, I'll just stop and then answer any questions that y'all have.
Any questions for Drew? Mr. Nix?
Drew, with these plans that have been prepared by the engineering firm, they will pass through our hands, through TxDOT, to the FAA, and assuming everyone agrees with all the proposals here, then it will proceed forward with the bidding, construction, et cetera?
Yes, well, once it goes up the chain and gets approved by the FAA, then we will receive from TxDOT Aviation some additional funding agreements for the runway extension project. And then those will bring back to you, and that will be broken out into a couple of phases, the right-of-way acquisition and design phase, and then ultimately construction. But there will be some additional funding agreements that TxDOT Aviation will be providing the city to execute in the future.
And they will be responsible for real estate acquisition and those issues?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Mark.
Well, I would, Mayor, you asked earlier today, and I apologize for not having at least a representative from the airport board. But I want to give them recognition and high recognition for their years of service of doing all of this. And I can tell you they've been heavily involved in this, and I'm not even sure who the chair is right now. I believe it's Mr. Hampton. Yeah, I believe it's Hardy Hampton. But I can tell you they're very supportive of this, and they've been working on it for a very long time, and it's been a dream of many of those that have been a part of this, both currently on the board, Airport Advisory Board, and those before, to get to this point. And I can tell you that there is a great deal of excitement. And I think I told you, I think that I recall one of the first agreements I saw was back in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. And it's been a dream for quite some time, and we're getting very close, and everybody's very excited. But more importantly, just recognizing the number of people that have been involved in trying to get to this point is, again, just to recognize them. And I can't remember all the members, and maybe Drew could identify that.
Okay.
A bunch of them.
I've got a question for Drew, Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
Drew, out of these four scale drawings here, does any of them show any future hangars? Build more hangars so we can fill them up and rent them?
Yes, sir, on the last page, the
16.
terminal area plan, that's essentially our land use plan, and that would show all the existing facilities that are kind of darkened gray, and then the development part of the future hangar space. It's kind of a lighter highlighted.
Okay, how many hangars is it showing?
You know, that's a great question. I could count them real quick. These will all be developed after I've retired.
It's those.
I'm sure. I know that.
It's the ones.
But we have quite a bit of space, and part of our plan when we were developing this, that the circle there, kind of on the right-hand part of your page, is our AWAS facility, our Automated Weather Observing System, and we showed to relocate that to the other side of the runway in order to develop all that area with hangar space. But that would be years on down the road.
Okay, thank you, Drew.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Drew, thank you. You just piqued my curiosity with the AWAS relocation, and we'll get back with that, because I think one of the things that Mark and I talked about, and Mark, I'd like for you to just mention this for the council and for those that may be listening, the dollars associated with improvements and the way those flow through the FAA to us are really important to the lifeline to improvements. So could you just talk about that briefly?
Well, what we've talked about is purely just the efforts on behalf of the federal government towards transportation. And for us particularly, this project has been a 90-10 participation, so we're only paying about 10% of this cost. We will only be paying for 10% of the expansions that are going to be going forward. And we are on their radar. We've already been basically charted to be funded, assuming that everything continues to progress forward on this particular project. Now, each of the projects that we've had have involved everything from 50-50 to 75-25, but probably what I think is probably the most exciting piece to this whole puzzle is that over the last 10 years or so, I mean, I think we're up to, the tens of millions of dollars that have been improvements that have been made to our facilities on behalf of the federal and state government, and our portion of that has been, as I mentioned, really what I consider to be very minimal. So we're making some significant investments, and what we're really seeing is the class of customer that I believe it's been the target, and this may be another part of it. I'm not sure specifically what part of this answer you wanted, but one of the things, we are not going to a 6,500 we're not going to be a regional airport, so we're not going to be quite to that level, and we're not even going to be able to fit it in here. When we get fully built out, we will be a very nice, business-friendly, local-friendly, and allow the traffic from the Metroplex area to come to our community. But again, are we going to be able to get a FedEx Freightliner that's going to be carrying large packages of stuff? Probably not. But are we going to be getting the customers and the large company jets coming in and out of here? And specifically, I think the mayor's asked today something about FMC. Currently, one of the planes FMC brings in to bring their customers in from Houston to here has to fly to Mineral Wells and land. They'll be able to land that customer here. Now, at the same time, if they need to have a shipping airplane, most likely it's still going to have to go somewhere else to go land because we're not going to be able. But, we're seeing that trend, and we're taking advantage of that, and we've been very aggressive. And again, I just get back to the very complimentary of everybody that's been involved to get here. So, but this is a very important step in the process. We are required to update this plan, and it is purely just, it's no different than what we do when we ask for a preliminary plat, if you would, or we talk about planning and how we plan on doing, what are you going to do? They want us to kind of say, hey, we commit to doing it. But once we've done this here, and again, it's been out there for a long time, FAA's actually had this. We got the letter the other day, and we just said, hey, let's get this ball rolling, keep it rolling. We'll sign it. TxDOT's going to sign it. FAA will sign it, and then we'll come back to so it's just this vicious circle that we've had here. But we've been waiting on FAA for quite some time, and so again, hopefully I've answered the question.
Yep, yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, Drew. I guess I need to consider a motion to approve the plan.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. McDaniel, seconded by Mr. Evans to approve the airport layout plan as presented. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carries by unanimous vote to approve the airport layout plan. And Drew, let me thank you and the airport board, Harvey Hampton, for your great work on that. All right, next item on the agenda, Finance Committee report, and Mr. Savine.
Thank you, Mayor. On the 26th of February, Malcolm Cross, Alan Nix, and Brady Pendleton, who are committee members, and the rest of the council, we met and discussed 3 items which are on your agenda tonight. None of the 3 items require any kind of action tonight, but just a report to the citizens and to those who are watching tonight. First was an audit report. And I want to say that having someone who lives with an auditor who does city audits, it is if you look at the type of audit we had in the report that we got, it was a good report. It goes to show how good the city is able to take care of our funds, be sure to account for our funds, as well as how we operate our city in general. It's more than just a financial report. Anybody that wants to get an idea of what it's like to run a city financially, the costs and so on, that's a good place to go. It's a long report. It's something that you probably want to put at your bedside so when you can't sleep at night, something you can read, but it is a very good report. And it does have a good overview of what we do in the city. And I want to congratulate Mark and his staff on the unqualified report. Also, we discussed the economic development position that we've discussed. One of the things we have decided is to suggest we bring in a consultant or someone to help us come up with some specific job duties related to that position. We had a lot of discussion about that, and I think at a later date soon we'll be in more discussion about how we're going to do that. Also, we looked at forecasting, and particularly we looked at the landfill, and it's real clear that there are certain items in our city where the service itself is not paid for by the funds that we get for that service. And one of the things that Mark is doing well is, particularly in this one area, the landfill, we were able to forecast, and that's something that I've been asking for, and he's really done a good job of, is to tell us over the next 5 to 10 years, what are we gonna need and when do we need them, at what point? You know, we have lists of purchases, we could spend $15 million on equipment and other improvements and, you know, but it's just a big bundle of dollars, but instead it lays out for us as a council, when we need to come up with those funds. And that's something that'll be good for us as we look at tax rates, income, and how we spend the money over the next 10 years particularly. And so in the next few weeks, we'll be getting the rest of the other departments as well on the same kind of financial forecasting, which will be good for us as we go into, as we prepare this next year for our new budget that comes up for 2014. Then the last agenda item we had, I'll pass on to my compadre across the way there. We had a dual committee meeting related to our water and sewer.
Okay, but before we do there, let me just say one thing. I want to commend the Finance Committee for your work. Mark Kaiser, you and Walter, your work on this audit report, phenomenal. So thank you for that. I also want to say something to the citizens of Stephenville and the work that the council is doing right now so that you don't wake up and read the paper like people in Fort Worth did today about their city having a $50 million deficit that they don't know how they're going to pay for. That didn't happen overnight, and it happened because they weren't paying attention to what requirements lay ahead for them to keep pace of what keeping the water and sewer lines and streets and services in balance. And so what Mr. Savine is talking about here is us really paying attention to what our expenses are so we hold those down and we understand how revenues are supporting those and do it in a manner that we can forecast instead of just waking up and saying, oh, what are we going to do? And I think this reflects a very proactive approach that the council is trying to take right now as far as that's concerned. You've heard us talk a lot about strategic planning, and this is really the heart of that, being able to keep our finances in order. And we've got some great mechanism in place to do that. So the next item on the agenda is really a perfect example of that discussion, where the Finance Committee looks at what the revenues and outlays are, and then the Public Works Committee looks at what is the requirement, what needs to be fixed and how soon. And so what we did is ask those committees to get together and talk about what's the best course of action for the city. And so I'll, as Doug mentioned, at this time turn over to the Public Works Committee Chair, Mr. Nix.
Thank you, Mayor. Also on the 26th, as a part of our marathon meeting,
I tell you what, I thought we had to agree we wouldn't discuss those kinds of things. Scott?
Just when they're not marathon.
we discussed at length the infrastructure, specifically talking about our sanitary sewer collection system and our water distribution system, with input from Mr. Williams and the insight and the experience that he has. It was, after much discussion, it was decided by both committees that we needed to make adjustments to our water volume charge and our wastewater volume charge, or our sewer volume charge, so that we might increase the amount of revenue, and by increasing the amount of revenue, we can increase the amount of work we will be able to do in maintenance, repairs, and trying to be more proactive with the system rather than just try to go out and fix a leak. This way we can be more mindful of the system, start using some of the information we have gathered through the evaluations that we have had of part of our system, and start repairing some of those issues. Based on those discussions and the decision of both committees, it is our recommendation that we increase the volume charge on water from $3.25 from $3.25 per 1,000 gallons to $3.50 per 1,000 gallons, and the volume charge on the sewer from $3.15 per 1,000 gallons to $3.40 per 1,000 gallons. And I will make that in the form of a motion for the council to consider.
I'll second it.
Okay, who was the second? Okay. Motion's been made by Mr. Nix, seconded by Mr. Cood, to increase the volume charge on water from $3.25 per 1,000 gallons to $3.50 per 1,000 gallons, and the volume charge on sewer from $3.15 per 1,000 gallons to $3.40 per 1,000 gallons. And the rates would go into effect March 1, the customer's first billing cycle April 15th or April 30th. Open up for discussion.
There's some unique things about water and sewer. It's what is called an enterprise. An enterprise, under the law, is supposed to be a service that supports itself. And it doesn't necessarily have to, as we've shown over the last many years, where general tax revenues has helped support an enterprise. And this is an enterprise which is intended to protect this type of service, that we are able to continue water service, sewer service, and not do it out of, say, sales tax or something else. So we do supplement it, have been supplemented for many years to the tune of, well, it was in your packet, if you want to look at that, it gives you an idea of how much we've been supplementing. And so I think it's a good thing that what we do is we start looking at this as, it's supposed to be a business by itself, in a sense. And that's why I think we need to start moving that direction. And I think that it's a good thing for us to do it this way. So I'll support it.
Mr. McDaniel?
Normally, I fight tooth and nail for increases, against increases on anything. But during the marathon meeting, it was clearly pointed out that we have a lot of mileage of old water and sewer pipes that are going to have to be replaced over the next 5, 10, and 15 years. And to quantify for the citizens out there that are wondering how much my water bill or sewer bill is going to go up, for the average customer that uses 9,000 gallons, it will be an extra $3.50 a month. So that's a 4.37% increase. If you're elderly and don't use much water, an example, living on a fixed income, an example of 2,000 gallons a month will only cost $1 more per month, which is just over a 2% increase. So this is not huge, but when you multiply it by the number of water and sewer users we have, it will help us maintain those accounts and continue to keep the water flowing and your trash picked up and all of the essential services that we provide. Thank you.
Mr. Evans?
Let me also mention that it was noted during the marathon meeting,
Thanks, God.
and I think it's important to mention that because of probably a little bit of work that this council's done and a whole lot of work that prior councils have done, we're in pretty good shape on water. We've got a lot of water. We can stand a really dry summer, as we have several now, and we can put out a fire too. So we've got plenty of water.
I'd just like to say that has not always been the case. Historically, we've had some fires. Chief, wasn't it when the junior high, or the fire at Central, we ran out of water?
Was that back in the 70s?
That was back in the 70s, right?
Jimmy was still in high school, I think.
I think the point that Mr. Evans was pointing out from the meeting of the night is when you look at the daily demand, 1 million gallons per day, of what our population would require at its extreme level to include fire volume pressure that would be needed, and you look at the amount of volume that we're able to produce, that number well exceeds what the demand is. And so I think that is a very positive position for our city, because it ties right into economic development and us be able to support more rooftops and other businesses. What we did also talk about, though, is that the condition of the lines that water is flowing through is one of the things that the enterprise fund is supposed to repair. And so the ability to have the rate structure in place to fix water lines as they fail is a part of what this is doing for us. Other questions or comments?
That's 55 cents per thousand.
Yes.
It's in effect then.
Tomorrow, with consumption of water tomorrow.
Thank you.
Well, that is if we approve that tonight, but it would be, that would be the, yes. Any other discussion? Okay, then we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Be tomorrow, Freddie.
It's going to be tomorrow, yeah. Okay. Well, I want to, a couple of council members, you mentioned marathon, and you're joking with each other, I know, but let me say thank you, because you can read between the lines that marathon is really rolling up your sleeves and some hard work and hard discussion about what this problem is, understanding it, discussing it, debating it, and coming out with a plan for us to improve delivery of the service overall. So thanks again for your work and leadership of the committees there, both Alan and
Mayor, that concludes my committee report.
okay, thank you. All right, next we'll move to Personnel Committee report, and Martha Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor. The last 10 minutes of the marathon on February 26th, the Personnel Committee met, and that included myself, Scott Evans, Doug Savine, and Brady Pendleton. We considered 3 items that were up for discussion, and the first was to renew a contract with Wethy and Associates. They have been an independent insurance consultant for us and have done an excellent job on helping us sort through a lot of information. And so what the committee did was we're recommending approval of this contract to extend with Wethy and Associates for another year, and that would be in the form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Evans, to approve renewal of contract with Kenneth D. Wethy, consultant for the insurance. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that motion carries to renew the contract with Kenneth D. Wethy.
Next item was, we discussed health insurance. There was a proposed renewal from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and that contract actually came in at a lower rate of 3% than last year, so that's going to save us a little over $26,000 this year, and the committee did recommend approval, and I will also make that in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Taylor, seconded by Mr. Evans, to approve renewal of the proposed health insurance contract. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, that motion carries to approve renewal of the contract for health insurance.
We already voted on it.
You're doing good, and I really don't want to get in the way, but I just need to remind you that in April, we will take this renewal. This way, we're able to notify Blue Cross and Blue Shield, but you will see this again because we have to put it in the Employee Benefit Trust
Right.
to retain the tax exempt status of it all. So you'll see it again, but we needed to go ahead and secure this
Right.
rate is really what it meant.
So this gives you the authority, I guess, to go ahead and finalize that.
This
package
action
it out.
does that, which
Yeah,
is.
okay. All right, great. Thanks, Mark. All right,
Okay, one last thing. We also discussed the pay plan, and of course, this is something the committee has worked very hard on trying to get things sorted out and get ourselves a good pay plan that works best for us and our employees. So there's been a lot of discussion about some complex information. There's a lot of time spent, information out there that we have not quite processed all the way through it yet. We've discussed this at length, and what the committee has instructed Mr. Kaiser to do is to consult with the facilitator to assist in the development of a pay plan. And you don't need any action on that, do you? Or do you?
Well, not at this time, because I
Okay.
don't have any recommendations
Okay,
this time.
so there was no action required, but the committee did instruct the city administrator to go ahead and undertake the hiring of a facilitator and a consultant to assist us on that endeavor. So that concludes my report, Mayor.
okay, great. Thank you very much, and I, again, appreciate the great work the Personnel Committee's doing in these areas. And, you know, the pay plan is an important one. It's such a large portion of the budget, but also making sure that the pay structure is accurate. So thanks. All right, now we'll move to the consent agenda.
I'd like to take be off.
Oh, I knew he was
That
gonna
broke
do
his
that.
streak.
You talk about my marathon.
Okay. So we've got a request
Everything on B?
He was doing so good.
to remove all from,
All of B?
all of B.
All of them.
I got 8 o'clock complete.
Okay.
Mayor, I move that we approve consent agenda item A.
Second.
It's been, it's been moved by Mr. Nix, seconded by Mr. Sedin to approve the remaining consent agenda, which is the approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
All those in favor? We're moving now.
We're halfway through it, yeah.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? All right, we're on a roll, and now we're to item B on the consent agenda. I guess it's okay, because you went through at least 2 meetings.
Yes,
with,
sir.
You
He
just couldn't
missed one of
stand
the
it
meetings.
anymore. Right,
February.
okay.
Okay, item B has to do with sale of some surplus equipment that we have, and I've asked Mr. Kaiser to explain what we're selling and how our citizens can bid on this if they so wish. So, Mr. Kaiser.
We, a few years ago, have gone to an online auction. If you've ever sold or purchased anything on eBay or on Craigslist, there is a website and/or we have a contract with a company called GovDeals. And so at govdeals.com, I believe is it, and I tried to find it, and I just didn't look it up, but I'm almost positive I'm correct. govdeals.com, you are able to go and not just look at our city, but many cities and many governmental agencies auction off the items online. And again, it is very similar to any kind of experience you might have had if you've ever purchased those via that way. And I believe that is what Dr. Coot had asked me to refer to, not so much the items, but we used to have joint auctions with the local entities here, and it became not fruitful. In essence, we were getting $1 for nothing, and it was more time than it was worth. And so this has become very beneficial and very productive, and so that is it. So the website, if you would like to participate and on any of these items or many other items for local governments, it's govdeals.com, and place your bid. With that, I'll be glad to answer any other questions. Dr. Cook.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to make the comment, we're selling a 1999 Chevrolet pickup and a CD welder that's on a trailer, and a few other minor things.
There's a reason why we sell things.
They're worn out, pretty much,
Okay.
right? Well used.
If Mr. Coot is through, I'd like to
Okay.
make a
Pre-owned,
motion.
Joe.
Mr. Evans.
We're marketing here, they're pre-owned.
Okay, Mr. Evans would like to make a motion.
Well, if it's all right with Dr. Coot, we'd make a motion that we approve item B in the consent agenda, if you're through messing with it.
Yes, sir, and I'll second that.
There's some other things on there if you want to go ahead and
No,
mention
sir,
them.
that's all right.
Okay, motion's been made by Mr. Evans, seconded by Mr. Cood to approve item B, to authorize the sale of a 99 Chevrolet 1500 pickup, 2 white RKI headache racks, 2 white pickup toolboxes, 1 black grill guard, and a CD welder on trailer.
I expect American pickers to drive through town at any moment to bid on this stuff.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Those opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda is comments from the city administrator. So, Mr. Kaiser.
I have a few items, and so bear with me just a few minutes, because I do think it's important to just give you a little bit of an update, as well as maybe for the community an update. But the first item is, that I want to kind of talk about, is the Senior Citizen Center. And I originally had mentioned this item to the entire council at our strategic planning meeting in January. And we've basically been given an ultimatum by our insurance company to do some maintenance over there, and in particular, eradicate the bats from the facility, in particular, the old historical rock structure, secure and seal it, and then also do something to kind of clean it up. And if you've never been upstairs, you would understand why I say that. We did immediately contract, and we have signed a contract. They are beginning Friday, right? Tomorrow, excuse me. They're beginning tomorrow to begin to seal up the facility. But what I'm here really to tell you is we signed a contract with them. It's, I believe, around $18,000. You will see an amendment in the mid-year budget to take care of that maintenance issue, but we've executed that to secure and get this resolved. The good part about it is, first of all, I'll just tell you that I thought it was going to cost a whole lot more than that. So I'm very excited about just the cost of this. But probably more importantly is that we are not going to have to close down the Senior Citizen Center for a very long, extended period of time. We are going to have to shut it down. It will be sealed off and closed off throughout the weekend, maybe a little bit over, just depending on how quickly they can get this done. But in the end, we will be closed very few days, operational days, and they will have it secured and cleaned up upstairs. And again, I'm very excited about that. But I wanted to give you an update as to the status. I was very concerned, again, about the cost, but again, I very much appreciate Mr. Wells and his efforts in finding the right folks to help us get this thing done, and especially to expedite it as quickly as we're able to get so done. We had a 90-day notification sent to us to do something, so I want to report. Hopefully by this time, next month, or really within the next 10 days, that will be cured. The next item I want to talk about is to give you a brief update on the traffic signal and the traffic signal discussion that has occurred and been ongoing at all. As you know, we've had a request in really for about 20 years, but let me just say very serious and very, very heavy within the last 2 years. But we are scheduled for March of 2014. I will tell you that they came in 2 weeks ago and surveyed. If you haven't been over there, you'll see the survey pins. They've been surveying the location, identifying the utilities, and they are working to try to expedite it and hopefully maybe have a signal in this summer for us. I don't want to make promises, but they are working to expedite the process. I know the wheels of government may move slow sometimes, but we're going to get there. But I want to just make you aware, and if you happen to see some activity over there, there's a reason why. I hope to send out some notifications about some upcoming construction projects that we're aware of, that people are submitting plans, and I think you'll have an opportunity to hear and see a lot of good, positive economic activity that will be occurring throughout the community, and especially also, I think, within this area very soon. The next item I'd like to just discuss and strongly encourage not only you as individuals, but also to ask the community to participate. But Keep Stephenville Beautiful is taking a survey now, and the survey is inquiring about the trail, the use of the existing trail, what's referred to as the Bosque River Trail, but we're also making plans and discussing the future expansion and maybe other possibilities that could complement and supplement the existing activities that have been going on. Keep Stephenville Beautiful has gotten very involved in this effort, and with the National Park Service, they have developed a survey, and I encourage you, I took it Sunday, and it took me about 5 minutes, so it's a very, very brief survey, but we really would like to hear what the community has to say. not only about this project, but about future endeavors in this area. To take the survey, you will need to go, I'm not aware of a paper copy, so please, if you do not have a computer, I can encourage you to go to the Senior Citizen Center and/or to the public library, and you can have public access to a computer anytime, day or night. Just have to register with them. But you will take online, and if you will go to www.keepstephenvillebeautiful.org, and there's an icon on there that just says take the survey. Very nice pictures, and again, we would like to hear from you as we continue to make plans for the future expansion there. I will tell you that you council are fixing to be very busy. I've got several items to ask of you as far as projects. I can tell you that the engagement has created, planning and zoning has been very active at discussing some of the items that were mentioned at the strategic planning, and everybody's is working diligently. And so I'll just make you aware of the upcoming meetings as are identified down below. And with that, I will be glad to answer any other questions or talk about any other things. I know Mr. McDaniel has a question. I'm going to let him ask me the question, and then I'll give a response rather than just preempt his question.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
But anything else? Thank you.
Any questions for Mark?
I have a question. I called Cindy this morning just so that Mark or Chief Chu would be able to provide some information to me. Yesterday, I got a phone call from a citizen who had a concern and was complaining about our outdoor warning siren in the 700 block of Lingleville Road malfunctioning. He said in the last year that it has gone off unwarranted or accidentally a total of 4 times. And I would just like to know if that's correct, how many times we have on the books that it has malfunctioned. I'd like to know what procedures followed when it accidentally goes off, whose responsibility it is to deal with, because at first I was disappointed in hearing from him, and then I was embarrassed because he said that he called 911 when it went off accidentally one time, and he met someone that responded over there to it. That person didn't have a key, and so they were able to find a stick. They didn't have a key to unlock it to get access to the siren. So they got a stick and were able to stick it through the fence and flip the breaker off to turn the siren off, which was malfunctioning. So I told him I would bring it to our attention, because this is it's not us against anybody. It's our responsibility that if we're going to provide these sirens, we need to have them working correctly. And I was also curious if the breaker is still off, or if someone responded after it was turned off with the stick, maybe showed up with a key and flipped it back on.
Let me just tell you, and we have, and thanks to Dr. Cood's persistence, we've continued to address these issues, and we have, I believe, reported maybe 6-8 months ago that we have inquired and are going to be bringing forth a proposal to acquire some of, I told you about Comanche Peak Nuclear Power Plant, replacing all of theirs, and we're forthcoming with that, and we'll be very soon. But let me just hopefully you let them know that we are aware that we're having problems with them. They're old. It's old technology, and we've been kind of keeping them together. And that's probably been a fair statement. Unfortunately, what has happened is, and I'm aware of the situations that you're referring to. First of all, things happen at probably some of the worst times that you could have it, to where, like you're saying, you know, for somebody to respond immediately that has the key, you know, it just takes a little while, basically, to get them up out of bed at that time of night to get over there. But we address those. It is currently turned off right now, right this minute. because it happened just yesterday. We've had them out here, I can't tell you how many times, the company out here trying to repair at least the part that we can try to. But they need to be replaced. Now, with that said, we've also been encountering acts of Mother Nature. If there is a power surge or a lightning, one time it went off because of a lightning strike in the area, and that little, while as little as it may be, you may not even feel it, that power surge causes this thing to trip, whatever this is. We've had, so we go through that process. We've had somebody hit the power pole, have a wreck, hit a power pole, causes a surge within the area. We've had that occur within the same period of 4 incidents. And then I can also tell you we've had just the mechanical aspects of it. We are aware, that's why we've been working on this diligently, but I will just tell you that we have a proposal coming forth to you at your next meeting to provide the recommendation that we're waiting, we still don't have it signed, sealed, and delivered, but I would like to support Dr. Coote in his efforts before he leaves. Maybe it also kind of helps address some of these issues, but, you know, all in all said and done, we're working on it, we're aware of it, we're sorry. I understand the frustration. If you're right there underneath it and it goes off, it'll scare the living thunder out of you, you know, so, but all we can do is just apologize for the errors. We're trying to correct it, and I do think we have a good permanent remedy here that'll be good for all of us.
That's good news.
So-
I'm glad to hear that, Mark. He mentioned that, the story about the boy who cried wolf. If it just, you know, keeps going off, people are gonna ignore it. And in the case of a real storm,
That-
we don't want that to happen. So
Well,
I'm glad to hear that.
You know,
that very
it's a
soon we're
challenge
gonna be able
between, we need the power on and we need it to be working when we need it.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, but again, there's just newer technology. We're gonna go to radio controlled, and some other things that should
Very good.
alleviate this problem in the future. And I just apologize for, you know.
Very good. Thank you, Mark. I'll pass that on.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Kaiser? All right, thanks for that update, Mark, appreciate it. All right, at this time, open up for comments from council members. Dr. Coote.
I'd like to give my thanks to the fire department. What many of you may not know is that about every other Monday morning, the Tarrant Area Food Bank brings an 18-wheeler here to distribute food to different organizations that give it out to the local citizens. And they've come down at least once, and they may do it every time that happens, and they come down and help unload, because it's an 18-wheeler it's not full, but there's a lot of agencies there, and they can come down and help do that. And one time they came down and they got a call, and half of them had to leave, and that's okay too. But they came down helping, and I would just like to thank the fire department for sending their folks down there. I hope you do it all the time. I missed the last time, but we really appreciate the work that you all do to help with that.
Okay. Mr. Cross?
Yes, I'd like to call the attention of the council to the fact that the nominations committee is meeting on April 9th to review the charter, and I would strongly recommend that whosoever is interested in this read and review the charter and come to the meeting with suggestions for possible changes.
All right, great, thank you. All right, Russ, you got anything else?
Just briefly, I would like to recognize and thank Nick Williams and Drew Wells for their work on that mammoth, or should I say marathon project on Alexander Road. I had an email from a citizen who's right there in the middle of it who had concerns, and I appreciate you two addressing that gentleman's concerns, and just wanted to thank you for it.
Okay, great.
I have nothing, Mayor.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Nix.
Congratulations to Mr. Cood on the birth of another grandchild, is that correct?
That's correct.
A grandson?
Grandson, yes,
And
sir.
all are well?
All are well and doing fine.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great, great. Mr. Taylor?
No, sir.
Mr. Evans?
I was approached recently by a citizen who had some concerns about the new smart meters that the electric company is using. This person has had cancer and has had extensive radiation treatments, and they feel like that, and certainly these things are putting out some sort of radio waves, that's how they work. There is some, I think there are some health concerns, and I really just kind of listened, and then they furnished me with some literature, and I got to reading about it, and I do think there's enough merit to what I read that I would suggest, Mayor, that we put this in the Public Health and Safety Committee, and have Russ maybe get Ken Harris or somebody over from the electric company to talk to us, or the manufacturer of the meter, or whoever y'all bring.
I'm aware of not this situation, which I'd like to, but I can tell you that there are some provisions for, we have it in our garbage contract, we have it in our utility contracts, that for disabilities and/or special health interests, they can do something different, is what I'm telling you. And so I can tell you right now, if you'll, they have to follow their protocol, but if you can give me the name of the lady and her address, I think we could probably address this, because it's already in their statewide contract, much less just locally. But and again, if we don't, then I feel comfortable we can put it in to discuss it further. So if you'll give that to me later, I would.
Okay, well, I think it's a great comment, though. We owe it to anyone that might be impacted by this, just for the information to be readily available, so they can either dispel a rumor or put into effect whatever action needs to be taken to remediate the concern. Okay, anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Just a couple of quick notes, maybe three. I want to congratulate the Honeybees and the Yellow Jackets on a great basketball season. Gone deeper into the playoffs than they have in a while, so, great work to the coaches and the students with that. Also want to echo what Mr. Kaiser said about taking the survey. The survey was put together by a broad group that included the city, county, Tarleton, AgriLife, Extension Service, and the National Park Service is doing a great job, I think, pulling this together, and really excited about the path this has taken. And then last, I want to say, the community at large, to include the county, has been impacted recently by some pretty severe criminal activity, and the sheriff's department has been involved in that. But I will share with you that they went out of their way the other day to let me know that our police department has been in lockstep with them, doing a lot of work behind the scenes to ensure that they are working together as a team, and they, in their words, couldn't have done it without the Stephenville PD. So, Chief Bridges, want to thank you for your work with that effort. And, a lot of times that needs to be, the details don't need to be known, but to know that there's the cooperative effort to bring these criminals to justice is comforting to all of us. So thanks for that. Okay, this then moves us to the next item on the agenda, which is executive session. And at this time, I'll call us into that executive session in compliance with the provisions of Texas Open Meetings Law, Subchapter D, Government Code, Vernon's Texas Codes annotated in accordance with Section 551.772, deliberation regarding real property.
Tuesday, but he's gonna have to be down there, can't get no, can't research it, he can't do this, that, that, one. I think they're on that for 5 or 6 weeks or something like that.
He goes in the last part of April.
Well, that depends on how he does.
Did
we agree?
Yes. I thought so, from what I heard.
Did he ask you too?
Yes. I thought so.
Error, I might, that's something that we could discuss it, but that's not right.
Well, I.
Testing, 1, 2.
Discuss.
Cheeseburger, testing.